Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, the concept and idea of guilt is a real and tangible thing that, believe it or not, can manifest and really consume you. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to assume that you do, because you're listening to us right now. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can find us over at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, basically any one of your podcast providers. We're all good. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to follow us on social media. We're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, and we're on the Instagram, as the kids call it. At where else? We're at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large, because if we love to write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, oh boy, we got a good one. This is the kind of film that makes me proud to support cinema like this, and proud to be Canadian, because it is some homegrown talent, and it is a homegrown fantastic piece of cinema which is making a lot of waves all across the world. It is called The Righteous, from writer-director Mark O'Brien, who you might know from movies like Ready or Not, or shows like City on the Hill. He was in Arrival. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's definitely one of our stronger Canadian talents who's making a lot of noise all over this industry. And it is the story of a burdened man who, him and his wife just lost their daughter, and the guilt and the torture he is feeling is overwhelming, and he feels like it is the wrath of a vengeful God who is sort of raining down on him for past sins. And this all comes in the form of a mysterious stranger who visits them. This couple is played by Czerny and Kuzyk, who are two venerable actors. And the mysterious man is played by Mark O'Brien himself. So not only did the man write and direct the film, he stars in it. And on top of all that, he actually talked with us as well. But this is one of those films that it's a real piece of psychological horror. It gets you thinking, it gets you talking. It's a fantastic examination of faith, grief, belief, all those things rolled up into one. It's the kind of film that will have you engaged from minute one, and will have you talking well after the credits have rolled. But we had the unique pleasure of started talking with Mark himself, and just about sort of the origin of the story, and getting her done, and raising money for a independent film that was in black and white and dealing with a lot of religious themes. But it's a fascinating piece of work, and we talked about that. Getting on the radar of our friends over at Arrow Video, because there will be a special edition Blu-ray of this released, I would assume, either later this year or next year. But it's a special piece of cinema, and I encourage you to go see it in the theater, because it is playing there now up here in Canada, and I do think it's getting a run in the States as well. I'm not entirely sure, but and it's going to be streaming on the Arrow streaming service. Maybe not for Canadians quite yet, but I know anyone else listening will be able to check it out pretty soon as well. But like I said, if you're in Canada, please go buy a ticket. Check out The Righteous, which is in theaters now. But first, check out our talk with writer, director, and star Mr. Mark O'Brien. A delightful guy, because this is a hell of a talk, so I think you'll enjoy it.
I mean, obviously, congratulations on the movie, man. I'm so glad I got to see it properly last night, man, because, I mean, that movie just fucking deserves the big screen. It's such a beautiful piece of work.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's really so cool to see on the big screen. Like, my manager was there last night. He was like, "Do you want to watch it?" Because a lot of people intro the film, then they leave and come back for the Q&A. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" How many times am I going to watch this on a big screen? I'm staying, man. Like, I made this thing. I want to see it.
No, I mean, I guess my first question is just like, walk me through the inspiration for it, because I mean, to me, this is the kind of sort of psychological horror that I love, that makes you guess and it's making you question, and it's not necessarily about the jump scares. It's about sort of getting under your skin and not knowing it until it's too late.
Well, a jump scare only lasts for as long as it takes to jump. Getting in your skin doesn't go away, and that's one of the things I love about that kind of aspect of a movie, where it's like Rosemary's Baby doesn't have many jump scares, but it stays with you for your entire life.
Yeah.
So that's more important to me. So that was that started off the inspiration a little bit of just wanting to create something that had lasting value, that will transform over time. And when you watch it a second time and a third time, you're gonna probably feel differently each time, because I think art is a constantly evolving thing, and it should mean something different every time you see it or hear it or whatever, and it affects you in a different way. And instead of just a straightforward plot, A to B to C to D, it's like it's something that is slightly off kilter in a way that you can't really identify. And I just thought I just felt a lot about getting older and coming to terms with everything about who you are, so I can move forward. And I have a daughter and stuff, and all those things kind of just, I think, were coming together. And I really like stories about God and the devil because it's basic. I love noir films. I love them because it's like there's the evil guy and there's the hero and there's the femme fatale. Like, now let's see what they do with that. And I like rules in a movie, and there's rules in Catholicism, or for a man of God, I should say, not even just Catholicism, for a man of God. And if you break one, what does that mean? And the ultimate stakes of your soul and the compromise of that is just so huge that really interests me a lot, like endlessly.
No, I mean, I agree with you on that front, man. It's just one of those things that it can spark conversation forever. And I mean, I've got to ask, because I mean, obviously, putting your producer hat on, raising money in this market is obviously a difficult thing. And I mean, you're directing, you're starring, you're producing, but it's in black and white too. Like, was that a deal breaker, or was that sort of always on the table for you to sort of give it this very sort of stark, very definitive look?
I've never rehearsed more in my life than rehearsing the phone calls, trying to convince people that it's okay, it's in black and white, and that I'm starring in it as well. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. It was the hardest part of making the movie, was just making sure that everyone was on board with that. Our final crew and distributors and producers and everything, by the way, all were. It was never a question. But before that, you're trying to get it made in different ways and different.
Sure.
So eventually it all came together with really supportive, encouraging people. But it's a challenge because people can't see what's in your head, and you've never made a feature. So they're like, I don't know. And like, and money is important. I get it, man. Like, if someone asked me for $650,000, I'd be like, well, first of all, I don't have that. Second of all, I don't, this needs to be great. Like, I need to make some of that money back. And I know, like, we had support from Telefilm, but it's still money.
Yeah.
It's one guy's money or one woman's money, but it's still money. And I understand that viewpoint. Instead of just being like, why don't they give it to me? I was like, how can I express this in a way that it should be given for this project? So that's the struggle, because you're not up against anyone. No one's your enemy, but you're trying to make everyone your ally.
For sure. For sure. Now, I mean, especially in watching this on the big screen, I love the moments. You referred to it as a bit of a pastiness, but I mean, it's almost an oversaturation, sort of these moments that are getting extremely white. And I mean, and I love how you stayed black and white, but still sort of used, I guess, that shade, that shade grader to give different emotions throughout the course of the story. Like, how important was it for you to be sort of very on point with the lighting and with the shading and sort of specifically the color palette that you wanted for a given scene?
Well, a lot of it goes to the DP, Scott McClellan. And I think what's really important is you want to work with talented people, but you also want to work with like-minded people who you can communicate with really easily. So our cinematographer, Scott McClellan, is a good friend of mine. I wanted to work with him for a long time. And I explained to him, he tells this story, and it's kind of funny. I was in Toronto for like a day, and me and Scott and our production designer, Jason Clark, they both live in Toronto. And I was like, I'm in Toronto for like a day. We should get together to talk about the movie. Because this was 3 months before we started shooting. So it was like an intro meeting. And so when Scotty tells a story, he's like, yeah, Mark came over. And normally in those meetings, like if you talk about tone and you talk about this, and you talk about some references, he was like, Mark explained every single shot of the movie. And that's what we shot. Now that's not entirely, that's a nice compliment to me and yada, yada. But that's not entirely true because Scotty's contribution was paramount. Like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Not only did he add stuff to the movie in regards to what you're talking about and his technical precision and his taste, but also how he was able to put, because I'm not a cameraman, I'm not a DP, I don't know how to light. He was able to put exactly what I wanted onto film. And I was like, I don't know how, and I don't know how you do this. That's exactly what I wanted. Now we went over film references, we talked endlessly, but still to technically be able to do that, he did it. But everything in the movie was meticulously planned to be that way. The way it looks was, oh, we just happened to turn on the camera. It was never like that. It was like, this is important for this to be this kind of thing, and now this scene is this kind of thing, and you know, even the coverage we got was, we only shot what we needed, because I'm a big believer in, when you're filming something, the crew and the cast should feel like they're in good hands, that the person knows what they're doing. So you're not like, oh, we got to shoot the whole scene from here, now we got to shoot the whole scene from here, now we got to, and you're like, why are we shooting this? What's going on? So me and Scotty were just so much on the same page, and his taste is just so strong, matched with his talent. So yes, it was the movie that I pictured in my head, but I could never have done what he did.
And plus, you don't have the budget to set up 6 IMAX Reds and just hope you get coverage, right? You know, you've got to...
With one camera, yeah, one camera.
Now, I mean, I've got to ask, because, I mean, when doing something like this, like, you've got to find the right people. And I mean, talk to me about sort of pitching Henry and pitching Mimi, because, I mean, while obviously you are directing them, to a certain degree, I've got to imagine you've got to sort of let it go, because you're obviously sharing so many scenes with them at the same time.
Yeah, you have to, and I think I'm used to doing that as an actor, right? Where you're in a scene with someone, they just do something and you react, you respond. That's the job of an actor. And the best scenes you ever do are the scenes where someone does something you didn't expect, and then you go with it and you respond to it and you continue the scene. So I kind of had to translate that as a director, being a director doing that, where you're like, okay, that's what's happening. All right, so let's just do that. That seems to work. But it all comes from knowing your story really well. And if you know your story well enough, you're okay to veer off the path a little bit. And you're okay to be like, all right, let's go down this road and let's see what happens, because I'm confident enough in the foundation of what we have that I don't need it to be exact. It can change and it can drift and it can slide and shift and it can do all these things, because I'm so aware of the story. It's kind of like if you were writing an autobiography, no one knows that story better than you. So if you're talking to someone like, what if this happened? You'd be like, yeah, I can consider that. Like you can change it because there's such certainty in the story being told. And so that helped a lot. And they're just great actors who just get it. Like, you know, they just get it. And I don't mean me or the story, I mean acting. They just are tremendous at that job. Like, it's as simple as that. It's like, wow, this really are fantastic. Like every take you're like, yeah, I mean, it's excellent. Like, it's just, you know, we might tweak it this way just because of story points or from transitions or whatever. But I love working with people that's like, we don't need to talk about it that much, actually. It's just perfect. Great. Let's keep going.
For sure. Now, I mean, I've got to ask, because, I mean, I know you're a genre guy and I know you appreciate your genre. And I mean, obviously, we love our friends at Telefilm and Vortex Media up here in Canada, but you got the seal of approval from Arrow. I mean, I got to hear that story, because I've got to imagine for someone who knows genre and appreciates genre, to get that stamp must feel pretty good.
It's the greatest thrill of my life. When I was like, we're doing a Blu-ray, right? They were like, yeah, special edition Blu-ray. I was like, oh my God. And then they were like, I was like, so what are we doing for the special features? And they were like, well, whatever you want. And so I did whatever I want with the special features, with their help. And
of course, yeah.
Like, oh, you want to do that? I was like, yeah, sure. So like I have a round table with the Radio Silence guys.
Wow.
Just talking about horror. That's just on the Blu-ray. And I was just like, do you guys want to come meet at this house and we'll talk about horror? And Matt and Chad and Tyler were like, where? Sure. And so I had a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, the day Justin Rebello, who at Vortex, was like, I think Arrow are interested. You should meet with them, because he wanted me to feel comfortable and stuff too, where we're going. And I was like, great, which was very considerate of him. And then, so we meet with him and we go with them. We're like, yes. And everyone's like, yes. And I'm like, oh my God. And the funny thing was, on the call, I had to tell them, I was like, Look, I'm really excited to you guys are distributing this. You guys have a sale on right now on your online. I bought 12 Arrow movies this morning. They were like, what? I was like, I bought 12 Blu-rays this morning. Not because of this meeting. Like, I wasn't even thinking about the meeting when I bought it. I was just like, ooh, a deal. And that's how much it means to me. I think that answers your question right there, how excited I am.
Man, I love that, because I mean, you're absolutely right. To get that stamp of approval from a genre label like that, just it lets you know that you did it right. I mean, it's got to be for sure, you know.
Something must have clicked. Someone did something good or made a deal with the devil, and I will sign that contract.
No, I mean, I got to ask the ultimate question, because we all know the joke of the actors who want to direct. Obviously, now you've done it. Are you done, or do you have another one in you? Like, what are you thinking going forward? Because I mean, I get both answers both ways, so I've got to know.
Oh my God, I got 50 in me. I don't want to stop. I'd direct a movie tonight if I could. I've written a million scripts. I have so many things I want to make. It's just, will they let me? And I literally, and look, and they are in stages of development. Like, it's like, it's not like they're just wavering in the wind.
Of course, yeah.
But I hope they all come together, and it's all I want to do. I love acting too, but it's all part and parcel to me. It's all part of the game, and I love doing all of it. And everyone's like, oh, did you want to act in The Righteous? I was like, I never really thought about it until I was writing it. I was like, oh, I guess so. And then also, once I was there, I was like, I'm glad I'm acting in it. I want to jump in the field with everyone. Like, I would have been lonely over by the monitor, I think, the whole time. So yeah, that's all I want to do. I just want to make movies. It's the greatest thrill.
Well, I mean, that's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, especially with this film, to sort of give us that externalization of guilt and grief through these characters. It's so thrilling, and it's so fascinating to watch. And I mean, not only did you direct the hell out of it, you acted the hell out of it too. It was a fantastic performance. And I mean, goddamn, man, I just can't wait to see what's next. And I mean, you know what? Next time when we talk, I hope it's in person, because I'll have a Blu-ray for you to sign.
Oh man, I hope so too, man. That'd be nice. And I can't wait for I'm just like, how many are they going to send me? I'm excited to have it. I'm such a nerd. But I'm glad you're excited about Arrow too, because it meant a lot to me.
And that's such a good mark. And I mean, I know people are going to love this, and I can't wait for people to see it on the big screen. I mean, especially as you've got a dinosaur riding up your ass, for screen time. But I mean, seriously, like, I hope as many people see this as humanly possible on the big screen, because it's such a beautiful piece of work. And just thank you so much for the time, man. You knocked it out of the park. Seriously.
Thanks so much, David. Really appreciate it. Nice seeing you, man.
Nice seeing you. Talk to you soon, bud.
Take care. Bye.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.